Guten Abend, Gamescom! And hello to everyone watching around the world. This is opening night live from beautiful Cologne, Germany. And we have our biggest live audience of fans ever here at Cologne Messe. Over 5,000 people together as a community to celebrate our love of games. And of course, millions of you watching online around the world, welcome. We have gathered for the grand kickoff to Gamescom, the world's biggest in-person video game event. And this is our 6th opening night live. Now tonight, for the first time, we have a live sign language stream of O&L to make the show even more accessible. Thank you to Kaborski, who's signing the show right now. Thank you, Kaborski. Now, while the game industry certainly has faced challenges this year, I know that O&L will get you excited about what's to come later this year and in 2025 and beyond. Now, over the next 2 hours, you're going to see world premieres from studios big and small, including, yes, some new game announcements you're not expecting, and some surprises, so get ready.
Welcome to Between the Joysticks. Press start and then we're off. Nick and John, they've got the sauce. Breaking news and some hot takes. Even if there's some mistakes, Nick is captaining the ship, while John gives thoughts straight from the hip. But when their powers combine, we're all in for a hell of a time. Between the Joysticks, it's the best. Up to 6 things they will address. Tell all your friends and settle in. Between the Joysticks now begins.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 108 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. Gamescom. I'm your host, Nick, and that sensual secret voice you're hearing is my co-host, John. John, you're correct. It's Gamescom.
Gamescom.
It's a big week of video games, leading into a big fall of video games. But I know you have an exciting announcement before we even get into all that.
Yes, I have shed this weight that was just weighing on my shoulders for months and months. Some may say years, but I have finally purged myself of my Xbox Series X. The day has come. Something I've been talking about doing for a little bit, and I joke, I kid, no harm or shade towards Xbox. It's a fine machine, but it was just sitting there collecting dust. I wasn't using it. As we'll talk about further in the show, games seem to be coming to PlayStation a little bit more and more.
Yep.
And GameStop decided they wanted to give me $390 for it. So,
Did you research ahead of time?
Yeah, and I was expecting $350, $250, and then I was like, "What's the trade?" And he goes, "Oh, $390." I go, "I'm not gonna say anything." So I don't like, and I know about the pro bump ups and things,
right?
And the $352 or whatever said pro price. So got a little. There might have been a little promotion I didn't know about, but
nice.
Yeah, so I was able to get rid of that. A couple Xbox games, so I had $406 in credit.
Shit.
Paid off Astrobot. Paid off the next Zelda game.
Shit.
Got MLB The Show 23 to play with my son because he's, baseball guru. He loves it. And picked up Prince of Persia Lost Crown physical. And I still have $234 left over.
Fuck yeah, man.
So take that, Jesse. Trade-ins. I got that 4 times more than you. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, so it's... I was going to, do cash and just keep it. I know you would have cut my head off if I did that because,
yes.
It'd be a giant waste, but... Figured, why not fund my next year worth of games?
It being locked to GameStop credit verifies that it's your and your son's money.
Pretty much, yeah.
It can't be used for anything else but gaming, so I like that it's locked in for a specific purpose.
Nick's, of course, referring to my wife, where where all of us husbands typically probably give a little bit more than we should. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm just a nice guy. I don't know.
Well, in any relationship, then it becomes, our money, and then it can be used for anything, but, This hobby brings you joy, and I want you to be able to.
Yeah.
Now you can take a risk on a game. I know you won't, but
no, I won't do that. But now I could get $234 of Robux, maybe for Levi. No,
at least get 2 games, and then the rest you can get.
I got the 2 games, and just briefly here, one of the best GameStop customer service experiences I've ever had. Like, dude was super chill. I could tell he was a little annoyed when I came in with it because he was like, "Oh fuck, I got to do one of these." But like, my thing was in perfect condition, so I was like, "Yeah, it looks good to go." And then we just kind of bonded a little bit over. He did the "You want to pre-order or anything?" I was like, "Yeah, Astrobot and Zelda," and he just looks at me. brings a hand up, gives me a high five. He's like, "Good choices." I'm like, okay, you get it. But
that's what I like when we go in there. You know, we put out our big gamer. I don't know, other big gamer ego or cred.
What type of gamer are you? You know, it's like
it's like we know shit. You know?
We're not just trading in Call of Duty and NBA 2K22.
Right, and you're like me. You go in there and it's like I know the exact how this transaction's exactly going to go. Right, It's like I came in there. You probably knew instantly the 2 games you were going to pre-order. You got shocked by the 2 that you could also get. Because I asked you if Prince of Persia: Lost Crown had a physical edition. That's good that it does.
Yeah, and it was just I wasn't planning on getting that, but as he was testing the machine out, erasing the profile and stuff, I was just wandering, and it was $28. Like yoink, and do that immediately. I can let you borrow it, trade it back in, But I obviously look forward to talking about that game on the show in the future. But we got definitely a lot more to talk about on this one. So.
Yeah, it's been a busy week and a busy day for video games. So we probably should just get right into it, unless you got something else.
No, I don't want to listen to you bitch about how long we ran over again at the end of this. So
no, we got to run long. This is going to be a 2-hour podcast. I can just feel it. I can feel it in my loins.
Ready for 47 minutes, folks.
Not a chance. So again, this won't be our standard show by any means. This is going to be Gamescom. There's a couple announcements leading up to Gamescom that we'll talk about. But so no 6 things at all this episode. But again, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at JoysticksPod. Jesse reached out to us there to let us know that he got a platinum in Elden Ring.
Atta boy.
I told him you'd be happy.
Atta boy. Well done. I'm sure it felt great to get. I'd be curious to know, if you're Jesse. You seem to humor us a lot with your I'll write back into you guys. So I'd just be curious to know what was the final trophy or because correct me if I'm wrong. You've been playing that game for a while. So, was this a new reinvigorated, I just got to beat these couple bosses I've ignored, or Placidusax, who's really hard to find? But well done, dude. That's a tough one, and there's very rarely that I wrap up a game and get the platinum where I go, I got more in me, and I could keep playing this. And, it's always fun to do more playthroughs and stuff, but it also did feel good to be like, okay, I did it.
Yep.
And then you can move on. But
for sure.
Well done.
Yeah, and we don't talk about the platinum wars much anymore.
No,
But he is at 74.
Holy shit.
He's the current leader that I'm aware of all of our listeners and people we know.
Sure.
But I also wanted to mention nemesis of the show, Jake. He got a platinum too in Baldur's Gate 3, which is impressive.
I'm standing up and bowing.
Which required 3 playthroughs of that game, so including tactician mode, which is no joke.
I mean, as a
hardest difficulty.
This is a man who also platinumed Disco Elysium, which took 4 playthroughs of high intensity role playing, dialogue driven shit. So I think we know what he likes. Yeah, and that's a great. I wish I liked those games as much as he did. It's a rewarding experience to go that deep into something that rich. And,
right.
So a little bit jealous, but yeah, that was one where, I think similarly when I told Nick I got the Cuphead Platinum or the Neon White one where it's like, damn, dude.
Right.
All right. All right, fine. So.
Yeah, and he's at 61 total, so he's second place.
What am I at? I don't even.
48.
40. God damn. What happened?
You had children. But so you can reach out to us on Twitter. You can comment on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. If you comment there, we'll read it on the show. Or you can email in at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. And we got some emails, John.
Yeah.
And I've been saving one here.
Are they spicy or are they just good?
We got a new pal of the show.
No.
Yeah, we got a new listener writing in, Freddie B.
Freddie B. Welcome, Freddie.
Hey, Nick and John. Been listening for quite a while now and just wanted to say I really enjoy the podcast and your guys' takes/discussions. Figured I'd shoot you a question to get your thoughts on something. I'm replaying Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and I'm like a teenager all over again as I play and can't get enough of it. So much so I'm listening to podcasts and downloading books on my Kindle. Now, my question is kind of a two-parter. How do you feel about extended media for video games like books, anime, movie, comics, etc.? We'll stop there.
Okay, good. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Freddie, let's not start off on the wrong foot. I'm not the Mass Effect guy, right? Like this is a Nick B. Yeah, well, there you go. There's your last initial. This is his realm. So take it away, Nick.
Mass Effect. I forget the writer of Mass Effect. It's gonna kill me now, because he's a big fantasy writer, and I know there are books. I read the comic for Mass Effect. What was
You're looking for the comics? Jeremy Barlow, John Jackson Miller, and Mac Walters? Is that?
No, there's probably so many. There must be more than one comic.
Yeah, this is the Dark Horse Mass Effect: The Complete Comics series is what that is.
All right, Drew Karpyshyn. Karpyshyn is the writer of Mass Effect. He didn't write
sure
this
you
comic.
didn't butcher his last name at
No.
all.
But I read the comic. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like where I would go out from the. I mean, I watched Edge Runners, the anime for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Trying to think of other things. Obviously,
I know the Halo series has a ton of extra shit.
yeah.
What about like The Witcher? Like, there's got to be a
So
ton.
that's based on the book. So that's kind of
Yeah.
like the reverse process. But I did read all the books after playing Witcher 2.
Okay.
So, but again, those existed pre the
Yeah.
video games.
I will say, I'll let you kind of marinate a little bit on this, but for me personally, like I don't, I'm not sure how long you've been listening to the show, Freddie, but we talked a couple months back on like our gaming pies, right? And Nick is much more of a narrative focused guy. For me, it's all about gameplay, and so it's rare that I need to get more information than what the game is already giving me. But what I will say, and something that I've really kind of latched onto lately, is high quality, just compendiums of games, right? Like Elden Ring is a great example for that. I have the guidebooks for those. I have the one for Bloodborne. These high quality, beautiful drawings of all the enemies and bosses and maps and things like that. I think those are great. But Pell the show Will also sent me this one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen of an Elden Ring thing, where it's like this hand drawn art, high quality. Ron Burgundy leather-bound book type shit, right? But it's like $292. So I'm like, I can't pull the trigger on that. But I do love to see fleshed out things about a game kind of come to real world, right? Like seeing like a Leviathan axe in person, be like, holy shit, that looks so dope. But I will admit, I don't typically jump into like I need more background and stuff like that, typically. But question for you, Nick. When you played through the Mass Effect series, were you like, I got to look up every codex on everything? Like, were you absorbing it that way, or like how did you?
Man, sometimes I don't get that into all the reading, like Cyberpunk as well. Just everything that you can pick up, or Skyrim.
Skyrim is nuts. You want to read this 17-page chapter book? No.
Yeah, I usually don't. I don't get too deep in those typically, like in-game lore. But yeah, it
does seem like
it's hard because there's just so many universes.
And for you specifically, right? A guy who loves DC and Marvel and comics and things, it's like you can't even really consider like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you like, I played Spider-Man and then I've read a lot of his comics, or the Wolverine game, right? Like you can't have extra shit on that, and that's the stuff that you really, really love. So, it's a good question though. Like I've never really thought about that. Yeah,
there's tons of it out there, for like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and all that stuff. Like there's tons of books out there for that stuff. But yeah, it's hard to like constantly be a master of 20 different worlds, Star Wars and this and that. And yeah, but sometimes they do. Yeah. I do have a Cyberpunk, like the world book, like it just talks about the different factions and stuff like that.
Something I can display on a coffee table, and a nerd walks in my living room and goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
and I go, "Yeah,
yeah." I wish I had the disposable income, or I would have a lot more of that stuff. But that's cool. Mass Effect is definitely the franchise to do it with. Still interested after Dragon Age what Mass Effect, whatever the next Mass Effect game will be.
It still is a game that lives in perpetuity in my back of my head for a backlog. Like, there's got to be a moment in my life where all I want is a rich, deep character-based thing. Because I was listening to Sacred Symbols the other day, and they were talking about Mass Effect, and they were just talking about how amazing it was the first time you saw where is there a name of where the elusive man is?
Oh yeah.
Like, where he's in front of that star.
Right.
And every time you're talking to him, you're
right.
like, oh my gosh, it's just the most memorable thing ever. And I was like, yeah, maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace because I was like, oh, hey, it's fucking Michael Douglas. And then I kind of just went and did whatever was
No,
next.
it's not Michael Douglas.
Or whoever it
it's
is.
Sheen.
Oh, Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Douglas, Michael Sheen. What's the great first question. What's the second part?
All right. Blah, blah, blah. Pulling it up. Sorry.
Freddie B. I want to.
Next part. Why don't we see more extended media for video games? Because some of the universes lend themselves to other media with the lore they have, and yet it so rarely happens. In the Mass Effect example, there are only 4 books that were released nearly 15 years ago. I have more thoughts on this topic, but I figured I'd stop there. Appreciate you guys on the podcast.
Sure.
Freddie B.
My initial instinct tells me that
it's coming.
well, that's not where I was going, but that is definitely as we go forward.
A Gamescom announcement.
Yeah, and video games every single year get bigger and bigger and bigger, more mainstream, and so we're seeing that with HBO's The Last of Us, right? Like we've broken into that landscape. Uncharted's making $500 million in the box office, but when it comes to like written things, right? It's a lot of effort to write something and to put together a book and get it published and get that all sent out. And the people who forge these universes to begin with, right, the developers of these teams, they're moving on to the next project. They don't have the bandwidth to, let alone in their professional lives, but I would also imagine their personal lives, to write more of this stuff. And fandoms, while I'm sure, would like to do it, they're probably going to be a little skittish. They're not going to be able to write something that's up to that caliber, worried that they'll get sued, worried that it's too much legwork and all this stuff. So I think it's just, it's probably pretty hard to be a normal person or even a writer that doesn't work for BioWare and be like, I'm going to write a Mass Effect thing and hope that I don't get sued or it's not high enough quality or whatever. I would imagine that's a pretty big hurdle.
Yeah, and probably, those mediums have kind of shifted. Books are still a big thing, but
it's not a moneymaker.
I'm trying to think of the last time there was a book for any video game, like a tie-in, like leading up to it. There have been
They're
comics.
probably being made. We just, they're not meant to be million sellers, right? Mm-hmm. They're kind of just meant to be like, hey, if you want to get a little bit more out of this, here's this. There's probably Gears of War books. There's probably
there's definitely Gears of War
stuff
books.
like that. But yeah, I think also it probably just comes down to how much money can we make off of this, and it's not a lot.
Right. Right.
So like, hey, we're just gonna develop.
They want that synergy for sure, as we've talked about. With Fallout and with Last of Us, they want these other properties, to be there. So you're like, I'm a big fan of Last of Us show, and now I play the games. Now what next? They would love to have more tie-ins, but yeah, it's hard to line up those production schedules too. That's why we kind of don't see video game movies anymore. Remember back in the day, there used to be always a video game tied in with a movie, and those games usually were garbage.
There's a Blood Rain movie.
Well, I'm talking about like King Kong's coming out, and we made a game that would launch alongside it.
Sorry.
Those things are like dead in the water because it's just hard to sync those up, and I think it's just
it takes
again more spinning plates to a project. With development time, what it is.
Yeah, you know how much fucking Disney would love a Deadpool Wolverine game releasing in 1 month? Like if that was possible.
Yeah.
The
Insomniac game coming out now would be perfect.
Yeah. It would. Yeah.
But I'm probably we might see more of it, but it might be more to like I said, games that already have like pre-existing lore, like Elder Scrolls 6. There's Elder Scrolls is already this lore with all kinds of books, so there'll probably be books leading into that game. But
right.
I can't see like, just the Astrobot book or any other
Assassin's Creed
Shadows or a tie-in book or any of that. It's just
actually I probably could see that in a weird way, but yeah, the point stands.
Well, there could be an Assassin's Creed book because the games are supposed to be all interconnected. But.
Right. Yeah. And, even with the next one, you could talk. Here's give you a background on Yasuke, and I don't remember the girl's name, but
But yeah, I love extended stuff. Like if you love a game a lot, like John was saying, like if money was no object, you'd have that $280 Elden Ring book.
I'm all about it's weird because I've never bought in a collector's edition of anything because it's just honestly like $200 at the start of a game. It's just it turns me off. But Nick's bought a couple disc plates. I still haven't, but like having that set up, right? Like we'll look on the Reddits and things like that, and every once in a while you'll come across somebody's setup and we kind of go, ooh, look at this. And it's like, that type of stuff will never not get me excited. And maybe there is some sort of game in the future where I'll want to get into the narrative side of it more. But
sure.
Freddie B, let us know where you're from. I'm always curious. And also, there is nothing that makes me more instantly happy than the 3 times that's happened on this show. Where it's like when we first got Mark, and then Jesse showed up, and now Freddie. It's like and yes, Will and Jake. I know you're out there, and Nick. Don't worry. I just know you personally, so it's not as special.
All right. Speaking of pal of the show, Will, he also wrote in. It's only 8 a.m., and I've now watched the new Silent Hill trailer 3 times, and honestly, I'm blown away by what I am seeing and hearing. Between this trailer, the 15 minutes of gameplay, and the previews, all signs point to this being the surprise of the year. After 2 years of the internet repeating lazy blooper team jokes, even the Silent Hill subreddit has almost nothing but praise for what has been shown so far. Does any of this change your minds about checking this out? Excited to hear your thoughts, unless they are bad.
And next question.
Also,
I'm just
if you're looking for that awesome song in the trailer to use at the end song of the pod, it's Promise by Akira Yamaoka. And yes, Will, that will be the song, teasing ahead.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me use the Nicky 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 song from the Infinity Nicky trailer today. Yeah, do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Yeah. So to expand on what he's saying, the Silent Hill story trailer released this week on the PlayStation YouTube channel, and by his description, the game looks incredibly
improved.
Yeah. More attention to detail. It looks more like the Resident Evil remakes. Lighting. The dialogue, the facial captures, everything looks. This is how the game should have been shown in the first place. That is kind of like to Will's point about everyone beating up on Blooper. It's like I don't know if it was the pressure was from Konami to keep showing this game, but they really should have. This should have been its blowout because, like Will says, and the sentiment online is that this would be a much anticipated game for a lot more people. Had this been its debut.
Yeah.
For me personally, again, I'm not a Silent Hill guy, but I mean, if this can review 8 or above, I like a good horror game. And it's like John has mentioned on the show before, it's considered like one of the greatest video game stories of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I referenced a specific list. I don't remember who it was, but
sure.
What are the top 25 greatest narratives? And it was number 1.
Okay, so
number 1. So I'm like,
again, going to our gaming pie, story is a big thing. So it is on my radar now.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a marked improvement upon everything we've seen so far. Is it in the realm of I'm going to go out and pre-order it? No, I still need to make sure that it runs right, that it's fun to play. Again, more gameplay focused. Not that's what's important, right? So the atmosphere could be nailed, the story could be the exact same, which is a 10 out of 10 story, but I still need to make sure that it's fun to play. But I have a much higher likelihood now. I will say that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Will, I'd probably want to hear what you think about it, obviously what outlets think about it, and then I'll kind of go from there. But the revitalization of the horror genre that seemed to happen like early last year with Dead Space remake and RE4 remake, and even though it wasn't as well received, Callisto Protocol. I would love to see that continue to go. And, if we can get another studio out here that's not only competent but excels at making modern day horror games, or at least bringing some of those forward, that's only good for the industry. And, maybe Konami isn't as stupid as we all thought they were to give this to Bloober Team. But, I I do gotta say, Will, that music really threw me off though in the trailer.
It felt a little too loud.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was just weird because like I did see a lot of comments. And I was like, oh, the music's so good. It's just like I remembered. And I have not played this. I didn't play it originally as well. I watched after seeing that list of the narrative thing. I was like, well, let me just watch a playthrough on YouTube. And so I did that. So I know what the story is. But yeah, I'm very particular with my time, right? So I need to make sure it's time well spent. Can't be a 9 or less. I'm just kidding.
We'll see.
But I will say, one last point. All outlets, IGNs and Screen Rants, the headlines are, I played Silent Hill 2 Remake. There was worry here. It's gone now. Cautiously optimistic about everything. Yeah. So it's not just your sentiment, Will. It's everybody. Everybody seemed to have a much breathed. Is that a word? Breathed? Breathed a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they all breathed the sigh of relief. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Let's again this fall another game to look forward to.
Is there a date on that?
Good horror game.
There's a date.
Yeah, it's October 8th. I'm gonna say off the top of my head.
Okay.
Or no, that's Metaphor.
Yeah. Oh, you nailed it.
Oh, Metaphor and
nailed it.
Silent Hill, October 8th.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so that is it for emails. Let's get into a few things that happened before Gamescom.
You're right. This is going to be 2 hours.
Yeah, buckle up.
Yep.
All right. First things first. Black Myth Wukong from Game Science is out now as you're listening to this, and it has a review score. It is currently sitting at an 81. It started at an 88 and kind of readjusted as all the other outlets reviewed it. Seems to be, 81 is great for a debut studio. We saw it's pretty much Lies of P. Stellar Blade territory.
Well long.
What do you think, John? You're the Souls guy. You're interested in this game. One of your more anticipated games for the second half of the year.
There might not be a more annoying review score than an 81 or an 82 because it's just like, I'm sure it's great. It looks phenomenal. I'm sure it's a fun game, but do I want to drop 70 on it? No, not really. And so, it's a game that I think when I see the right price or the right gap in my gaming schedule, I might do it. But also, I have yet to play Lies of P. I have yet to play Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. I'll probably never play that one. And I worry that this is going to be another one of those. But what I will also say, this game is destroying right now. There could be some specific reasons for that, but they did say that it broke Elden Ring's highest concurrent player count on Steam at 1.4 million, and that's crazy high. One caveat to that though is China, the country China, did allow Steam to be accessible in their internal internet earlier this year, so any of Elden Ring and other things that they broke the records of didn't include the country of China, which does have a few people in it. So, there's probably a little bit there, but it's being played by a ton of people. The reviews look good. First game from the team, so I'm pleased for it. I wish it was, like I said, dude, if it was an 84, which I know is stupid. If you're out there going, John, you're a fucking idiot, I get it. But that's just how my brain works, and I can't rectify that until my kids are grown-ups, I think. So
Yeah, the reviewers are praising the combat and the character designs, but the story's kind of weak, and it does have some technical issues.
And a little bit of what I was worried about, where it's not quite a boss rush, but the in-betweens are not very fleshed out. And I was like, that's part of my favorite part about Elden Ring and whatnot is exploring.
Honestly, it sounds exactly like Stellar Blade with a central hub, and then you just kind of spread out in each direction, north, southwest, whatever. And you go out there, and then you come back to the hub world. So it sounds exactly like that. So maybe it's more my game. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what how does it drop in price and stuff like that. I did hear that it's harder than Elden Ring, so might not be so much for you. But I also did hear from some people that Stellar Blade was really hard, and except for a couple of fights at the end, I didn't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing that happened last week was a cool game announcement. Barkour from Varsoft Game Studios. Barkour is described as an action stealth game where you take the role of a tail-wagging canine 009 agent working for a secret organization that fights against evil in a world that does not take itself too seriously. Look this up. It's Stray, the cat game that John loves so much, but with a dog and
So
with a good sense of humor.
It's always going to be better because dogs are better than cats.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah. If there's one thing I know about Nick, or if there's one thing he loves more than comic book, Marvel's superhero stuff and video games, it's dogs. So
Dogs are the best.
Yeah, you put them at the front and center, and I knew when I saw that I was like, oh, I gotta show this to Nick. Yeah, Barkour, good name too. Good name.
Yeah, this is great all around. So a game to keep an eye out for. Next up, Dragon Age: The Veilguard got a story trailer with its release date. It is coming October 31st. And I know, John, again, this speaking of Mass Effect, Dragon Age, you did play Inquisition.
For like 2 hours.
Okay, so never mind.
Yeah, no, it kind of bored me.
Not a lot of gameplay shown again in this trailer, but again, if you're a fan of that franchise, seeing characters return like Morrigan and like we were with our infamous talk about things just pop in your brain and you're like, oh, that character.
Yeah.
Same thing with this trailer. So if you're a fan of that franchise, you'll probably recognize quite a few returning characters, not just from Inquisition, but Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age 1. So
Dragon Age 1 was Origins, right? That's not a separate game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. So what do you think, John? It's filling out that fall.
Yeah. Get some candy, get a caramel apple, play the game in your costume, in your dragon costume. It's kind of a funny image. This is a weird, I feel like we were hearing about this game for 5-6 years, like Dragon Age 4. What is it? Okay,
Right.
I don't know. And then all of a sudden it's here, and then it's like,
Right.
Here's the name, here's a new name, here's the release date, go. It's like, all right. So I hope it's good. I mean, my big takeaway with this is, can BioWare right the ship? And this is the first step towards that. They have famously released Mass Effect, and Knights of the Old Republic, but they've also famously released Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda, and those are their last two games. So, is this going to be a continuation of that, or are they going to start going back on the path of salvation, which hopefully they do, because they've already, apparently have a Mass Effect game behind that one too, and Mass Effect fans need a win after Andromeda, so including Freddie B.
Yeah, and they got a plan for the next few weeks of content, so I do want to see more. I want to see the character creator skill trees, gameplay beyond the first opening 15 minutes that we saw. And not even that, what you just mentioned is the shadow of their previous two games. They're also living in the shadow of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And that, as we all know, Game of the Year winner of last year is no joke. The comparison that's going to be made, as far as, especially when it comes in regards to storytelling and choices,
that'll be
and
the thing.
Options and how you can tackle certain things. So
it's gonna. I have no concern that it's going to be able to differentiate itself gameplay wise. It's going to be vastly different games, right? Action combat versus top down tactical. So, but yeah, you're right. The narrative and the characters and the storytelling, that's going to be very under the microscope for that exact reason.
So I'm keeping an eye on it. I want to play it day one, but I want to see more for sure. All right, and then our final news item, the Plucky Squire from All Possible Futures. It got a release date. It is coming September 17th, just a few weeks from now.
Hey.
And, unfortunately for me and John, it is a PlayStation Plus Extra Day 1 game. Sony seems to be using extra
killing that with that
to pick. They had Animal Well and Dave the Diver earlier this year, so some excellent games that I've enjoyed.
They're basically they're just picking all of the 5 nominees for best indie game of the year.
Exactly.
Even though Dave the Diver wouldn't qualify, but I don't think Dredge would either.
Sorry,
Animal.
But John, what do you think?
Yeah,
I know this is your eye on this game.
Yeah, I'm all about cutesy games that feel like fucking video games, right? I get bogged down by realism and big, crazy world. So to have something that, has obviously unique mechanics to it, the whole 2D, 3D switchover is.
Yeah, look up a trailer for this, because this is a game that's hard to explain.
Yeah, where you start when they first showed this game off, it was like you're in a book and you're playing like it's an anime thing. It's super cute and clever, and then all of a sudden he gets pushed through the page and you're in this photorealistic, weird-looking bedroom. So I'm amped to play it from that standpoint. I wish it wasn't so close to Astrobot, because I will be going. Obviously, we'll both be going day one on that and crushing it. So it'd be nice to maybe not go right into another cutesy thing,
Right.
and I might not even do that right without extra. I don't think they've said how much this costs yet, and I keep checking, and I'm guessing 30, 35 at the most.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be definitely an indie game of the year contender. And I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. What do you think of? You mentioned Astrobot. Sony's weirdly having like this teen focused fall with Astrobot, Lego Horizon Adventures, and now the Plucky Squire being
Is Plucky Squire exclusive
to
to PlayStation?
I don't think it is.
Okay. I didn't think it was either, but I was just curious.
In fact, I would bet that it's not. I believe I remember seeing it's coming to everything.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's smart. I think that while I think Sony has really established themselves as the premier place to play video games, if you're looking for those top AAA, oh my God, I can't believe this game looks this great and tells this great of a story game, but at the sacrifice of the kid-friendly thing. That used to be their bread and butter. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. That was their shit. And when Uncharted came along and really kind of showed them like, oh, we're also arguably better at this, and this is we're going to lead all of our games, it's a meme at this point, right? Sad dad simulators or over-the-shoulder third-person action games, right? They're all the same, but not exactly the same. So it's nice to see them trying to spread out a bit, because I would honestly love to see a world where, and I know this is not a Sony first-party game, but a Sony first-party studio trying a first-person shooter, a Sony first-party studio trying a platformer, which we're about to get, which will be exciting, and just these other things instead of just the same stuff, which are great, but a little tiresome. So I like that they're pushing it. Kids are... kids are the future, but they are in this. So, you need to appease them. And I see it with my own son. He doesn't give a fuck about any of this shit, honestly. And I'm trying. I'm trying to get there. He does admittedly like Astrobot, and he's going to be excited for that. But, when I try to show him something he's not familiar with, like a Spyro or a Ratchet and Clank, or he kind of just goes, yeah, and bounces off of it.
Right.
So try and capture some of that magic, because these are the type of games that got me into gaming.
right.
So.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. So we can get into the
show
Jeff
proper.
Keighley.
All right. So this is what Nick and I did. Obviously, we're flying off the cuff here. The show ended, I don't know, a couple hours ago at this point. So wrote down all the games. If they have release dates or release windows, some of those. But rather than try to pick what we think's important, what you think's important, what I think important, we're just going to go through everything. I'm going to read them all off. If I want to stop and talk about it, I will. Please interrupt me, Nick, if you want to stop and talk about it. But I do want to start overall thoughts. How do we feel the show went? How do we feel Keighley did? Was it great? Was it meh? What do you think?
I think again, you set your expectations right. It's Europe, so it's going to be a lot of focus.
Stinky Europe.
It's going to be focused on European games, and that was definitely the case. A lot of developers here from the UK and Germany and all over. So you knew what kind of games you were getting. A lot of top-down games, a lot of first-person games, a lot of simulation games.
Yeah, they love their sim games.
So I knew going into it. Now I did struggle to find a lot of things that appealed to me as in my gaming taste. But I did have fun. I did think it was a good section of games, covered a lot of different genres. It did lack, I guess it did have big announcements, but they weren't big announcements to me. They weren't things that mattered to me. But I'm sure if you were a fan of those franchises, this was good gravy for you. There was just at least 3 big announcements maybe 4 big announcements I saw in there. So just a solid show all around. It was paced well. He brought out developers. We got some gameplay. And those are all the kind of the keys to having a successful show. So I think it was better than better than I expected, but I wish there was more for me. So
What a mature take, Nick. Well done. Well done, dude. Yeah, I agree. I think, Keely's getting a definite rhythm for these things. He's been there for a while now. So, yeah, I wasn't particularly blown away by anything particular or specific, but that's okay. There was some stuff for everybody. So the show got started a little bit early with a pre-show from Nick and I are big fans of this guy. He does every single week a show called Delayed Input on YouTube. He's funny and knowledgeable and has great takes, but Kyle Bossman did the pre-show for Jeff Keighley. He's done it in the past, and I really appreciated that they let him input his humor into it. You could tell if you've watched his show. So great job by Kyle Bossman. But we did go through a couple small announcements in the pre-show. Got it started off with... I'm not even joking when I say it might have gotten the most rise out of me for the entire day. Not saying it's what I most anticipated, but Dave the Diver is getting more crossovers. And it's not like Godzilla, like how it used to be, but they're crossing over with two actual games, which are Balatro and Potion Craft. And while I don't know the specifics about this, what it looked like to me is that you're in the world of Dave the Diver, you're playing the game, and you come up to a certain NPC, and it's like, hey, have you heard about Jimbo's card game? And you're like, what's that? And you hit yes, and then it's fucking Balatro. It's the game, is what it looks like. It looks like to me that they effectively inserted the code into Dave the Diver, and it looks like they're similarly doing something with a game that came out, I believe, last year called Potion Craft, that was also received very high. It's your standard mixing and brewing kind of game, but that one, I don't know if they're gonna, you collect plants in the water and you can bring them back and make new things. I don't know how that one's gonna be, but what was your take on specifically the Balatro thing, Nick? Am I reading that right, or does that?
Yeah, it says that you can play the game with mermaids, is what the article I read said.
It's so cool.
No, I think they just have a history. Obviously they've done the Dredge content already, and it's amazing that they've done a Goddess X Nikkei collaboration as well. That it's kind of nice that they're continue to invest in this game. I wish it was like more sizable improvement. I think these are just things that you'll just kind of run into it as far as like the day-to-day stuff. Because I'm sure there's plenty of people still playing it, even though they've rolled credits and all that they're just running their restaurants and catching fish and enjoying the sim part of it. Mm-hmm. I think these are just going to help.
I just want to know if you can load in Dave the Diver and play Balatro now. Like, do you even need to buy it? Or did they work out some awesome deal where it's like, look, we'll give you $2 million. Like, we know that this game's on extra. People have access to it. Are you cool with it? Like, I don't know. So I'm going to look at a little more information about that. But I thought that's such a cool crossover.
Yeah, I just have a feeling like Dave the Diver is going to get some kind of big update coming. They're
building towards something.
There's just been so many smaller updates with the Godzilla DLC, the Goddess Victory crossover, and then now these 3 crossovers. That we're building to something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just holding out hope
to go
that
back.
Dave the Diver 2 is a thing, that they're gonna do that, and I don't know, some sort of full game co-op, or you can just literally, that's another series where it's like, just give me a new location, new whatever, I'm fine doing more of that same. But yeah, super cool. Next up, we got a announcement for Sniper Elite. I didn't get the Resistance. Thank you. Anything with that one, Nick?
No, I mean, how many Sniper Elites are there? There's
at least 5 numbered ones, and probably a couple subtitled ones.
Yeah, there's quite a few. So
yep.
5 was the last one.
You want to shoot some Nazis in World War II? You go ahead and shoot some Nazis.
Known franchise.
Yeah.
So.
Next up, we got Be Gone Beasts, which is a full 4-player co-op top-down slasher dungeon crawler. Maybe looks a lot like Gauntlet. You got anything to say about that one, Nick?
Cute art style. It was nice that their flashlights would turn into weapons.
Yeah,
that was a cool little touch. But
you got your sword wielder, your bow guy, your magic guy, and then your brute. That's kind of seems to be what it is, like Castle Crashers, kind of.
Yeah, it's a new studio. That's their first game, so Tandeme is the studio. So, yeah, okay. No, right. It's not my jam though.
Cool. Speaking of simulation games, I thought this would have been a simulator titled game, but it's actually called Roadcraft. So this is a, your standard build bridges type of sim game. I don't not for me, not a me thing.
Yeah, it's like a town that got ravaged by flooding, and you're tasked with rebuilding all the roads. And again, very European focus. This is a sim game, so
A lot of engineers coming out of Germany. They love that kind of stuff.
it's just I do find those games comforting. Every now and then I'll play like Jurassic World Evolution or something similar.
Yeah.
A Planet Coaster that.
It's games I wish I had more time for.
Right.
Yeah.
That are just chill and just watch the machine work.
Yep. I didn't get the full name of this next one. I just wrote down Genesis looking sexy lion game. I think it was like Nico Dico or something, but it's your standard colorful platforming game. After that, we had Anatria: The Last Song. Bad title. Looks like another Soulsborne kind of knockoff. I would imagine that's not going to be anything special. This next one, though, I was kind of intrigued by. I don't know if it'll be fun to play. Could be just straight up frustrating. But it's called Cairn, and it looks to be a full-blown like rock climbing game where you're actually like using rope and climbing routes and stringing your ropes through your carabiners and using your legs to get up to things. And I'm a big hiker. I'm a big climber. I love being in Colorado, Utah, things like that. So it's might just scratch a little part of my brain that does that, but also has the opportunity to just be incredibly frustrating and not fun.
Yeah, I believe we saw this game before.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was at the Game Awards, or not the Game Awards, Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, and it's spelled Cairn, Cairn,
Which is a stack of rocks.
Which is a stack of rocks. Yep. Which are fun fact, they are used to mark trails. So like if you're climbing a mountain, people will build those to like be like, hey, you want to go that way?
It's not just a video game thing?
No. But it's also really annoying when people just build them in like scenic spots. So like specifically, I went and did a hike in Zion National Park called Angel's Landing. It's a beautiful hike. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. But then you get to the top of it and you're like, you got this vista and there's just like 1,000 of these little rock stacks everywhere and you just want to kick them over. Like, what are you doing? That doesn't look, anything to keep it looking natural. But so I don't know. I might want to check that out. But next one here, we got a little interview with the developer. It's titled "We Harvest Shadows," and it's a self-proclaimed first-person farming horror allegory game, where you do a lot of, you're tending crops, you're managing your farm. But it has this weird narrative about it where you're going to never come across another human ever again, and you've kind of isolated yourself, and you go out and do these things at night, and it's creepy stuff happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's first person.
First person. It reminded me a lot of The Forest.
Yep.
I don't know. I like first person or single person developed games are always interesting to me.
Yeah, because usually the vision is so tight.
Yep. All right, and then we had Isla, which is a horror game about a guy wearing a VR helmet. I didn't really have anything there. Sequel to a game that came out about 5-6 years ago, Journey to the Savage Planet. We're getting the sequel, which is Revenge of the Savage Planet, which had a interesting trailer. I thought it was a Justin Roiland game.
The humor for sure made it feel like that.
They had like a burger commercial for a restaurant called Burger Squirts, and the burger's just literally squirting all over a guy's face. Pretty gross when you break it down, but I don't really know much about this series.
No, I've never played it.
Okay. Next one is titled Inzoi, and I have a little note here that says Unreal 5 meets The Sims.
Oh yeah, that game. Yeah.
Yeah. So developed or published by Krafton, the PUBG guys who just bought Tango GameWorks. Looks to be, if you're a fan of The Sims with characters who don't say words to each other, that you just kind of direct emotions and manage their day-to-day life and as simple tasks as making breakfast and going to work and stuff. Not my jam, but it's a lot of people's jam.
Yeah, I have a feeling this game's going to be huge.
Huge. Yeah, Krafton seemingly, they maybe they have a thing with genres. Be like, we want to have these.
That's a good idea.
But
diverse portfolio.
Yeah, but granted, they almost like kind of kicked one of those genres off the ground with PUBG. I mean, but yeah. So Inzoi. Next was Tribe 9. I got nothing to say about that.
Nope.
Okay, Directive 8020, which looked to be just a weird spin-off game that would be forgotten about, but we later found out in the trailer that it's part of the Dark Pictures anthology, which is a sequence of games from Supermassive, makers of Until Dawn. But they've found some success with these games. You know, it had the one, the House of Ashes, and God, I wish I could pull these off the top of my head, the names of them. But you know, they kind of all take place in different places. This one is Man of Medan. That's the one I was trying to think of.
The devil one.
The Devil in Me or Within Me, or
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, and House of Ashes. But
we got there.
Yeah, this is their space horror one, right? That seems to be
that's kind of the unique part of this one is it's space.
Yeah, and there seems to be something going on with mimics or clones where, you know, you're running away as this character and being chased by something, and it's me, I'm being chased by me, but like her face ripples a little bit, so you kind of have a thing going on, a thing going on, and I've never played any of these. I don't mind the Until Dawn Quarry type of game, but in very short bursts, and not like I can't play one every couple of months. So I've avoided all these. But anything with that one?
It was actress Lashana Lynch. Like that, instantly grabbed me. It's like, oh, this is a known actress.
What's she
that I've seen in other movies. Gosh, off the top of my head,
Lashana Lynch. No Time to Die, she was in.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got a big deal. Yeah. Wait, what? Now I'm seeing pictures of her.
Yeah,
what is that?
Duh, she's in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she's Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should really know that.
Yeah, she's a pretty big name actress to just, show up in this.
Yeah. So, I'm more of the same. It's gonna be your narrative driven, choose answers to questions, I guess.
Yeah, we know Supermassive games at this point. So,
but I think that was the end of the pre-show. Again,
well, they ended on a Street Fighter 4 character.
Oh, I skipped that entirely.
But
I didn't even. Sorry, Terry's
Fair
coming.
Enough.
So again, great job by Bossman. Great, kicked us off the right way. But then the Gamescom show got started properly. And started with a big one. I would honestly argue that it's the biggest announcement of the whole show. Definitely the biggest unannounced thing.
Units sold.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were hoping to get some synergy going with this one. It's not going to pan out the way they wanted it to. If you listened to our discussion last week about the Borderlands franchise, but they did officially announce Borderlands 4 coming 2025. We just got a teaser trailer, nothing really to show besides a pretty planet going through some crazy, I don't know.
Can we get studio names after the trailer shows, because it's so annoying when it's like 2K games.
Gearbox.
Oh. You're like, it's a Borderlands 4. Like it ruins the surprise. Just let the trailer play out and then get the studio names out there.
One of the most fun things to do during these shows is, and I don't know if you do the same thing, I compete with you in my head where I go, I got to say the name of this before Nick does.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case. And yeah, that would have been a good one, because I feel like if I saw the planet and how it had that purple thing to it, I'd be like, I know that. What are you?
Right.
And then to get the, and then when you finally see the face turnover with the psycho, you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
I agree, but I'll be there. I'll be there playing this game. It doesn't need to have, any. Yeah,
really?
Dude. Yeah, Borderlands 2. I love Borderlands 2. I mean, 3 was fine, but no, yeah,
day one, you're gonna be playing this.
Did I say day one? I don't know about day one, but I say I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there. It's a series that I think handles the gameplay well enough that Borderlands 2 specifically might have just been that perfect sweet spot of character, special abilities, skill tree, weapons, not too much, go have fun. 3, had the worst villains of all time. More of the same, but it did lessen a little bit for me, where I was like, I don't have enough, as much motivation or as much free time as I did with 2. So as long as they don't go too crazy, we're getting into this world of video games where I don't need Path of Exile 2. We were talking to somebody about, one of the things they're implementing is not only can you build your character, but then you build your character, you do that skill tree, and then you can have 4 other characters that you can hot swap to at any given time. And it's like, now it's too much. I'm sorry. Even though on paper that's more for the player, it crosses a line. So
okay,
I'm here on paper.
Okay,
right,
fair enough.
All right. Now, for the bestseller of the show, Black Ops 6 got their big. We knew it was going to be here. We knew they were going to show a lot of it. Got a big, meaty, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 minute gameplay trailer showing.
Just like the old days.
Just like the old days, kind of showing off one of the campaign missions where you're, going into a covert ops underground secret base and shooting your way out, and lots of explosions. It didn't look bad.
No,
I am flummoxed and flabbergasted by people that can literally go sick that have played all of these.
Right.
It's different strokes for different folks, but
Yeah.
man, it's
Year
the
over
same,
year.
It's the same shit. It's find some cover, slide under more cover, pop up, shoot guys, pop down, go through.
it works.
I guess so, man. But to me, it's. I'd rather just play something new and fresh. But this game will sell like crazy.
I do think it's smart though, because last year's, as we talked about, Call of Duty was reviewed very poorly, and a lot of it was focused on the length and just how terrible the campaign was. So showing a more traditional Call of Duty level that we're used to, the spectacle, the lead up, is a smart choice. Whether they can land that or not, we'll see. But as you mentioned, it doesn't really matter. People will blow through the campaign and then play the game for the next year.
Day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, and that'll be big. So hopefully this will be Call of Duty trending in a positive direction, review wise. So
yeah, we were watching this with a guy, and he goes, "Why do they even make campaigns for this anymore?" And I was like, because it's just about the principle of it all. It's the principle of it all.
true.
We don't want to go down a path where we tell companies that, yeah, you can just give us the shooty shoots and that's fine. Don't worry about anything else.
I think about that with like Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm like, they could just release Grand Theft Auto Online in that region and they'd probably be fine, but I don't want them to know it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I want that.
Put that evil
I want
on
that,
me.
Yeah, I want that campaign. So,
all right. Next up, it might have been my favorite trailer of the show just because of how
Self-aware?
meta and self-aware it
Yeah.
was. I was a little disappointed what it was. I was kind of hoping it was going to be this. So like you start the trailer and you're a generic looking video game character. It almost looked like the Heavy Rain guy or something
Right.
like that. Being led by very old school looking pixely guards walking past cells of I don't know what the best way to is. Like it's almost like meme-worthy moments in video game history or something.
Right.
Turns out it's Goat Simulator remastered.
yeah.
Coming in 2024 this year. So my son's gonna be stoked, but
Yeah, I thought they were bringing back like another franchise
Yeah.
because it seemed like all the prisons were like old franchises. Like they were making the Skyrim joke, Grand Theft Auto joke. That it was like, okay, what genre of game are they gonna resurrect?
Right, and they kept saying things like, "Here's the re-release bay" or something. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is gonna be something. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of a letdown on what it was, but I still like the trailer.
Yeah,
It was fun. It was fun.
Point is, it made fun of Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto.
And I did already tell Levi that they're doing it. And I'll be playing this one and probably getting the platinum with my son because I'm a good dad.
You need some platinum, so good.
I need the platinum. All right, got a update for Persona 3. They have a DLC coming out, episode Aegis or Aegis, or I said one of those two ways, but they kind of teased that the Persona 5 guys are going to be in there, or at least Joker. I don't know.
And it was accompanied by a song from Lynn, so.
Yes, it was. Yeah, which makes me happy because I do have this game in my draft as well, but I don't really know what they were referencing because this is a DLC that existed in the past with the original version, so it's not like you can
Just spicing it up for
yeah,
you.
which I'm fine with. If you want to incorporate more style and good music, that's cool. All right. Another big announcement coming up next. This one was teased, and some people guessed correctly, but we got our first look at the next Dying Light game. Thought it was going to be DLC at first, like the following was, but apparently Dying Light The Beast is the next entry into the Dying Light franchise, made by Techland. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Again, not a franchise that I'm into, but I imagine people who enjoy those first two games, which is a lot, enjoyed this announcement. It is weird that it's a standalone game, and I think Keeley said about 20 hours, so I wonder if it'll be like kind of like a reduced price.
Like a Miles Morales?
Right, or we were just talking about Infamous First Light,
Yeah.
kind of like a a smaller game, but set in a bigger expectations, But
Yeah. Well, my guess is, and I think you're right, because I don't know if you remember, they supported the first Dying Light for like 7 years, like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And many people applauded him for it. It was a great move, just from a customer standpoint. And when the second one came out, they said, like, we're doing the same thing. We're going to support this game for like 5-7 years. And then the game came out, and it didn't really catch the world on fire. So I wonder if this is a course correct to be like, okay, we're not going to not support this, but we're not going to, like, it seems like this was originally planned as another The Following type thing. And they're like, no, we're just going to spin it off, maybe separate from the second game a little bit, and not to piss people off that that are still playing it, but
right.
Yeah, it's a franchise I loved the first one. I loved it for some reason. Yeah. And just the second one didn't do it for me, but never say never. I never say never. All right, and we got the official launch trailer for Black Myth Wukong. We already kind of talked about the game a little bit, but official trailer. It came out today. Makes sense, but definitely filler time. I have nothing to say.
Nope.
Cool.
Moving on.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Move on.
King of Meat.
Great trailer.
Yeah, yeah. They had a little cartoony Jeff Keighley running away from things. At first, I thought this was definitely going to be a Fall Guys clone, where it looks like medieval setting, running through swinging axes and pits and spikes and things like that while people are falling and dying. But it turns out it looks to be more of a online co-op game, 1 to 4 players. So I don't know if you're kind of battling enemies while also battling the environments and having kind of obstacles and traps and things like that. But I'm always down with co-op games. I don't really care. Like, I'm not going to play it, but I applaud. I would love to see the kiddos pick up games like this as opposed to just playing Fortnite in different houses away from each other. So.
Yeah, and this is an Amazon published game too.
Okay, so it's going to suck. Great. No, I'm sure it'll be fine. Maybe that's more their wheelhouse as opposed to like New World and these huge things that they're trying to make.
Right.
All right, and we got a couple developers that come on stage next for a brand new studio. Great studio name, FuzzyBot. Bad game title, Linked with a Y, Banner of the Spark. And its title, or it's proclaimed to be a co-op action hack and slash roguelike life sim, which these are words that I like. I like these words. But I will say one glance at the art style made me want to throw up. They're definitely going for that Fortnite crowd, which I can't begrudge anybody for. It makes sense financially, but it just looks gross. But the concept of it, where you're kind of going around and beating these or fighting these different robot creatures, and as you defeat them, you kind of looks like absorb their powers, or at least a special ability, much like Mega Man. You can then use that in combat going forward. That's a video game ass recipe that I love. I love that recipe. So
it's also a roguelike.
And it's also a roguelike, right? Which I love roguelikes. So maybe this is a maybe.
The combat looked fun. Like he was riding on that sword and then surfing on that sword, and then he like flipped it in the air and like came down with a slash. Or one of the characters was grabbing guys and like placing them into traps. Yeah. With like an extendable hand. Like you said, terrible name, but interesting idea.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever said this, but too colorful, like just too much. Like it went too hard in that direction. So
art style is definitely in the name.
I'm gonna give you the next one, Nick. Do you know what the next one is?
Yeah,
right.
I can talk about this one.
Yeah.
The next one up is Lost in Records, Bloom and Rage, coming from Don't Nod. This looks to be their next story game as they've kind of passed the baton of the Life is Strange franchise to... Their name is escaping me.
Wait, what? Oh, we're talking about... So Don't Nod, who made it before?
Yeah, who's making Life is Strange,
Deck
Double
9.
Exposure? Deck 9, yeah.
Yes.
They kind of passed the torch there. So this is kind of their next story game. And it got a release date. I'm looking that up now. I think it's going to be episodic.
February 18th and March 18th.
Yeah, episode 1 and episode 2, or is it? They described it as volume.
I think it was
1.
tape 1 and tape 2, which is just a clever way because they're dealing with it's just that time period.
Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. But it's just a story-based game where you're playing a bunch of teenage girls who something paranormal happens. and then we get cuts to like the future when they're adults, and kind of something is referencing something that happened in the past. And no, it looked good. One of the problems these games have always had is how they run, and the art style has never looked great. But I think between Deck 9,
thought this one looked good.
Yeah, this looked really good.
Yeah, especially the environments.
Yeah, in the moments, there's a lot of like, kind of reminded me of like Cyberpunk, like first person sitting on a table and talking with somebody. So there's more dynamic like that. So no, this is one to keep an eye out for.
The time skip intrigued me. I wasn't real. I'm still probably out on this one, unless if people are like, dude, you gotta check this out, just because it's just a genre. That doesn't get me all hot and bothered, but I was intrigued. Like when they were in that diner and like they had that package. And like, why is this to like our band? Like, I'm immediately like, what happened? I gotta know now. I don't know. I know you watched Yellow Jackets. I don't know if it's like similar like that, where you have this group of people and then something happens and then you balance the two time periods.
Or even a show that you and I love a lot, like True Detective, was kind of told in this dual narrative of the future and the past, and you're like, holy shit, how did this guy get to this point?
Yeah.
Or what happened?
Just to defend myself, season 1.
Season 1, yeah. Season 1.
Season 1, True Detective season 1 is arguably the greatest single season in television history, and the rest sucks. Stupid.
Well, to be fair, we haven't seen the 4th season.
I know.
But it probably stands.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is again, this and the double exposure. These type of games are just, I just like them.
Cool.
They're just, they hit me in a good spot.
You think you're there day one? Depending on, I guess it'll probably depend on what your catalog looks like.
Yeah, as far as like early next year, I mean, there's not really much,
Shit, and if they're like, hey, the first episode's $25, second one's $25, and you go, all right.
Yeah.
Cool. Next up, No More Room in Hell 2. I don't have anything for that. It's just zombies.
Yeah, no.
Cool.
It's a survival game, yeah.
Arc Raiders, apparently this was announced back in 2021, and they're like, we have more information for you, and then proceeded to give no more information about the game, so I still don't really quite know what that is. Song of the Show, coming in the Infinity Nikki trailer, next up. Just super cute. Looks cuteness overload. I don't think my man card will let me play this, even if it's great. I am that insecure. I'm not. I'm really not. But they've been really showing this one lately. Sony showed it at their last State of Play. Showed it here.
Yeah, it's just not our jam.
But Space Marine 2, is that your jam?
I mean, it continues to be a game to keep an eye out for. It's not in not in the top games I'm looking forward to. I'll be busy playing Star Wars and Astrobot when this comes out. So I don't know. It's a game I keep an eye out for, and 3-player co-op's cool.
Yeah.
This will be it shows well every time. That's the thing. It just looks great.
Well, little blurbs, they showed it during this little trailer, and I think making jokes during it where they're like gloriously gory, but not fun to play. They had like the gloriously gory in quotes, like to kind of show the positive buzz, but people seem to be high on it. It looks cool. Very, very much a review-oriented game. If this comes out and it gets an 89, I'll probably be there immediately. But if it's, I don't know. I expect it to be the 81, 82. The annoying scores.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I'm not into the Warhammer universe. But I did enjoy the first game, but continues to look good.
Cool. Developed off of the bones of Paragon. I don't know if you remember Paragon. It was old school MOBA, I think. We're getting Predecessor, which looks to be a Smite type of game. Lane-based MOBA action. Very much not my thing. I don't have anything to say about it. I don't know if you do.
Nope, not at all. Not our jam.
Real quickly here, they dropped the date for the early access for Path of Exile 2, which is coming November 15th. If you're a PC player and you want a very robust Diablo-like, look forward to that. Next up, they gave a pretty beefy look at the upcoming open-world survival MMO Dune Awakening, coming to PC early 2025. Thoughts on that one, Nick?
I mean, obviously, we're all in love with Dune right now.
Yeah, the world. Yeah, the world is.
So I mean, it looks to be a faithful adaptation of that franchise. It involves a lot of resource collecting and base building and stuff that I am just not into. But I will say it showed incredibly well. If I was a fan of the franchise in this genre of video game, I think I'd be keeping an eye on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to note when you look at this game to understand what MMOs look like and know how intensive they can be from a I don't know if it's CPU or GPU standpoint, but like it looks
a lot of things on screen.
It looks stiff, but it doesn't look bad, right? Because if as long as you understand what these games are, but a lot of cool ideas happening where I never really thought about this idea where you can kind of spice is power, right? That is a quote from the book. I think they kind of have that in the very beginning of the second movie too, and it's like whoever controls the spice controls the power, and it's a very interesting idea to have a existing world with hundreds of players where you kind of all know the spices in one spot and it takes a long time to get, and so you kind of all go there and then have a battle. Like that's a cool idea. Right. But no, I will not.
It never comes out as well as it looks in a trailer though.
Yeah.
It looks much more exciting in a trailer.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep reading the books and having fun that way. Next up from Tarsier Studios, threw me for a loop. Not Little Nightmares 3, but Reanimal. So the team behind Little Nightmares 1 and Little Nightmares 2 doing their next game it's basically Little Nightmares 3. Basically, we're going to have two competing Little Nightmares 3s here shortly.
Yeah.
But, it looks like to be those small, tiny little characters with a bleak, dark, gross world with large-scale creepy things lurking around. These all appear to be animals, hence the title Reanimal. I tried to play Little Nightmares 1. I bounced off of it. Too puzzly. Like, I liked the puzzle level of something like Inside. This kind of took it up an extra level.
Now, this kind of reminds me of It Takes Two, and this is playable in co-op.
That changes things.
So
that does change
just
things.
keep that in mind.
Okay.
Again, wait and see for reviews. But yeah, tension, the
cool.
atmosphere.
An It Takes Two style game that's not like warm and fuzzy, but like gritty and dark and gross would be like that genuinely can scare you and add a little bit of stress to these moments. You need to work with each other. That could be cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it's a game to keep an eye out for. But
yep, cool.
Next year.
Game I wish I had more thoughts on, but I unfortunately don't for any of you. Monster Hunter Wilds coming in 2025. If you know what it is, you know
the
what
game's
it is.
going to be big.
It's going to be huge. Monster Hunter Worlds, their last big entry, not Rise, but Worlds, number one selling Capcom game of all time. So, yeah, this one's going to, I would imagine it's going to overtake that.
Where is it going to find a spot in next year's busy schedule?
Yeah, but I think this
it looks close to done, so I'm surprised they didn't come out and say January. I thought for sure that was happening.
And this is a game that it's a bully. Like, it's going to bully other things. It's not. It doesn't need to be. The only game that needs to be scared of next year is the one game that everybody needs to be scared of next year, which is Grand Theft Auto. I don't think there's anything else that really it needs to worry about.
No, it's in a genre all by itself.
Yep,
so.
and it's that big of a game. So, Pell of the show, Nick, is apparently very into this genre, so maybe we'll get some thoughts and stuff from him when the time comes. But it's a FOMO game. I wish I liked it more. It just always feels too clunky and too big. So. Coming December 10th, sequel to, it's probably one of the more famous mobile games ever, Monument Valley, but we're getting the third one, exclusive to Netflix games on mobile phones coming December 10th. Puzzle shit.
No, it looks good, and it's just, again,
it's pretty.
Not my jam.
Yep.
But
speaking of not my jam, Civ 7. Looks really good.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And I don't think they didn't really go into like what are they doing on this one versus 6, right? Again, there's going to be just more leaders, more factions, more ways to win, more types of buildings. Any of these kind of games, I feel like you just kind of build. You just build and build and build and build, and you can do more and more crazy things.
4X games. I played a lot of Civ 2, but I haven't played it in a very long time.
Yeah.
Civilization Revolution was good because it was just simple enough. Games didn't take long enough.
And I bought Civ 6, and I tried.
Yeah. Good luck.
Didn't work very well. We then got a little update for Starfield. This one was kind of confusing because they just showed off a car update first called the Rev 8, which is just, think of the what's it called in Mass Effect? The Rover?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay. Freddie B's going to call us on our shit if that's not what it is. So I hope you know that. But yeah, so you can drive a car in Starfield now, and Shattered Space officially coming.
The Mako.
Okay, good. I didn't think it was, though. I wanted to say it because he's probably going to. I'm not listening to these guys anymore. They don't know anything.
Maybe I should go back and play Legendary Edition myself.
Well, and you do love that series. Coming September 30th, Shattered Space for Starfield. So they didn't really show off any more of it, though. They're just like, yeah, this is the date. So, but a game, I'm actually curious to see how you take to this next one, Nick. I really don't know, because on paper, if you can recapture a former you, it will destroy your world. But I don't know if you've ever told the story on the podcast. Nick had to snap his Overwatch disc in half to stop playing it because that game made him so mad.
Yeah.
But coming December 6th, Marvel Rivals official release date, which is basically the Overwatch clone with his beloved Marvel characters. You're gonna check it out at least, right?
No.
No?
If it, like I said, 8 years ago, of course.
Yeah.
I was into those games, but I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the same like social groups that I had back then of people that I played games with a lot, and yeah, I mostly, and I don't want to offend anybody, I just view these as a waste of time.
Yep.
Like there's no end.
Yep.
You know, they'll continue to release skins and characters, and you'll fight for ranks, and you know,
I
like
love Rocket League, but it is a waste of time.
Yeah, so I'm more into single player games and indie games now than
Attaboy.
anything else. So
Taught you right.
So
let me ask you a question though. So if you were into this game, which Marvel character would be your dream character to be, and who would you want them to be modeled after from Overwatch?
oh, come on.
Come on, you can do it.
I mean, Captain America did look pretty sweet in that trailer. I'm not gonna lie, like his ability to like reflect ultimates, and
charge in, and it adheres to him as a character so well.
right, and throw his shield around and have it bounce. That was pretty dope. You know, again, I'm all about X-Men characters. So
Cyclops, Wolverine.
Yeah, Cyclops would be
Cyclops
huge.
would
Some
be
kind
it?
of like ranged character
Okay.
that. I mean, Storm's in it.
I mean, Cyclops would be a sniper, probably. If you had to, you'd probably
some kind of yeah.
Yeah, that or just some sort of like that character in the Concorde, the big tank guy that just had like a vacuum. It'd be like a constant like, you know.
But he's kind of a faster character too, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but
all right. Well, when you're playing it on December 7th, I'll repeat that question.
yeah, I'm the one famously to say I'm done with games for a while, or I won't play this game. And
I mean, you're still. I've never seen you play Hearthstone as of like 4 years ago. So and Marvel Snap was another one I couldn't believe you put down. But I'm gonna throw in the next one to you again, Nick. Do you know which? Or
are we talking about the non-game announcement?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this was, I think, by far announcement of the show, and it's funny because for me, and probably for a lot of people, but it wasn't video game related, but. Again, getting the Freddie B's question about other media. So on stage came Tim Miller. He's worked on a show on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots, and he's been in other Hollywood movies. He worked on the first Deadpool as well.
Well, not only worked on, I think he directed.
Oh, did he?
Live check. Yeah,
Well,
he directed it.
Okay, so a big deal for him to be on stage, and he's getting very emotional, and he's got a shirt that says Blur on it. And if you don't know who Blur is, any of the best cinematics you've ever seen for video games are typically done by Blur.
That's Love, Death, and Robots' calling card. Is like you look at it and you go, wait, is that animation? And
right,
it is.
Right,
it
and they usually Blur themselves usually get at least one or two of the episodes, and it's not sure how this project's going to work. It's called Secret Level. And what they're going to do is they're going to doing an adaptation of a video game franchise. And this trailer goes through, and you start seeing, you'll see a franchise that you're familiar with, because the list is Armored Core, Concord, Crossfire, Dungeons and Dragons, Exodus, the Texas-based Matthew McConaughey Mass Effect clone is one of the games, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Sifu, Spelunky, The Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, Warhammer, and then, our bread and butter, PlayStation. We saw Ghost of Tsushima. We saw Kratos, so God of War. They're all going to get episodes in this television show.
Crazy.
And it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Especially because they got the license for all these properties. So, I mean, anything's on the table.
They got the license, and it's something that I always look for, whether it's a movie, a game, or whatever. It's a very powerful thing to marry two companies together that just get it. And I feel like the Love, Death, and Robots guys and like video game, high budget animation, whatever you want to call it, is perfect. That's the perfect person to partner with to bring these to light, especially with, again, Love, Death, and Robots. Their episodes do not relate to each other. It's an anthology series. Some of them are 8 minutes long. Some of them are 20 minutes long. You can really be flexible with it. And so to allow them to take that to have the control with these characters that we know and love so well, it can't be anything but exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, especially whenever this releases and there's an episode for any property that you love, that. I mean, you're gonna lose your shit for the God of War one. Like, that's gonna be insane.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not even to mention like season 2,
right?
Going forward. It's Zagreus. It's or Nier Automata.
Oh my God.
Dude. Like, I mean, there's certain things where like this is an incredibly cool announcement. It doesn't bring me to that level, but it could.
Right.
If I see, if you see a Geralt, if I see a 2B, if whatever the case, there's so many different. Dude, I'd be like also stoked if they somehow got Nintendo involved and like here's a Zelda one.
Right.
It's so cool.
Right.
I don't know if that's
who
possible.
knows if this is very popular. That very well you could see people getting attention for, again, that synergy that we're talking about.
I would imagine most of it is going to be mature, very mature themed. Most of Love, Death, and Robots is, but also like like you said, Mega Man, like that can't be too crazy,
right?
So hopefully they can kind of have a wide range of things, much like Love, Death, and Robots, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. It is something to behold because, like I said, Blur and their animation is top notch. You won't see anything like this. And coming this December, I'm excited. I'm gonna watch all of them.
Perfect work show too. Like I know you'll watch them at home, and I'll want to watch them on my TV too. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, on your TV, I can't even imagine. This will look incredible.
Just gonna pop. All right. Next up, coming September 4th. We knew about this one, but Age of Mythology Retold. I'm pretty sure it's just a remaster of the first one. More RTS, more that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Good
The
stuff.
funny thing about the Keeley shows, especially this one and Summer Game Fest, is what is an ad and what's not.
Yeah.
It's like the line blurs on some of these, and I think like stuff like this and like you mentioned Space Marine 2, those are straight up ads because they're here.
Yep.
So.
Next up, Xbox exclusive, coming to PC as well, I do believe. But that game is Towerborn. We've seen this a lot. It's coming to Steam Early Access on September 10th. Looks to be like a beat 'em up style game, done by the guys who did the Banner Saga. So if you're familiar with that art style, I believe it's Stoic Games, but looks a lot like that. If this one comes to PlayStation, I'd probably check it out. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna move heaven and earth to play it, but
I think it's got a live service element to it.
Of course it does, Nick. Everything does.
So I don't think that's
great. Cool. Wait up.
Free to play side scrolling action adventure game. Nope, can't do it.
That's the end of the show, folks. No, that's fine. All good. Doesn't ruin my day. Delta Force Hawk Ops.
Sure.
Cool. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Anything for that one?
Again, this is a European game, and not my thing.
If you want to cosplay some medieval shit,
I know there's some people in our life that are a fan of this franchise, so I'm sure they're excited. But
I will say, visually, incredible. like from that standpoint. But it did get a release date, February 11th, 2025. It was delayed out of this year, so I think people were looking to see when that would show back up. But this next one, Nick, was very interesting. We knew this game existed. It's a VR exclusive for the MetaQuest 3, but Batman Arkham Shadow coming in October 2024. That was so much more of an Arkham game than I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
To the and the visual language specifically, where I was like, okay, fighting, yeah, it's going to be weird and first person and whatever, but like when you go up on a perch and you use the bat vision and it highlights all the perches and it highlights the grates on the floor and like, holy shit, that's even using the Batman spray gel to outline the Batman and have that explode. It's like, is this going to be way cooler and more fun and better than we thought it was?
It looks really, really good.
Yeah. But like I said, exclusive to MetaQuest 3, so Mark Zuckerberg must be a big Batman fan. He threw out a lot of money to get this one, but
again, like you said, that the visual language of the Arkham series, the little blue lightning bolts over when guys are attacking you, so you can perform a counter. The Predator missions, it's basically Arkham
combo meter.
Yep, it's basically Arkham Asylum in first person in VR, and we need more VR games looking like this because this looks amazing.
That's what's frustrating about this space right now. It's like we know what the highs can be.
Right.
I'm sure it's incredibly difficult to develop, code, all that gross stuff that I try not to think about when I play my video games.
Right.
But yeah, that's what, like, man, you would have thought this shit was buttoned up in line when Sony's like, okay, we're gonna do another one.
Right.
And it's just it continues to flounder, but then you see something like this and you're like, what the hell?
Right.
Like this is a medium that we should continue to pursue. We should be able to try and convert our favorite games into something that can make sense. Unfortunately, granted, there's a lot of MetaQuest 3s out there, so this probably will make its money back, but like, it's just how much do we want to pump into it until this is a viable medium, and it's frustrating.
They just got to get cheaper. The headsets are just too expensive.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to keep an eye on, and unfortunately not coming to PSVR 2.
What I'm hoping is that in 10 years, I can get a MetaQuest 4 for like $200, right?
Sure.
And then I have Alex and this and a whole bunch of other stuff that I can just kind of go,
right,
and take care of them. But yeah, all right. No other thoughts about Batman?
No, it just looks great.
Right.
Everything about it I like.
Yeah, I was worried I was going to see your boner popping up over the table.
It's definitely the VR game that I would play.
You got FOMO for it?
Yeah.
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 Well, let's hope it's just shit. But yeah, it is made by Camouflage, the guys who did the Iron Man VR game, which people I think were pleasantly surprised with. It was like a 78 or 79 or something like that. But
right.
Next up, so the actual Little Nightmares 3, but not being made by Tarsier Studios, being made by Supermassive team we talked about earlier, makers of Until Dawn, seem to love to make their little horror games. We'll see. Well, I don't have anything.
No, I haven't played the previous two games, so
but
I don't know.
It will be a thing, though, that if Reanimal is great and this one sucks, then everybody's going to be like, all right, get out of here. It's very much a Dead Space Callisto Protocol scenario, I feel like, right now. All right, from the very niche title but well-received Far Changing Tides team. And they also did Far Lone Sail, I believe. One of them got an 88 on Metacritic, so these are indie darlings, but they're coming out with a new game called Herdling in 2025. Looks kind of like the same thing. The premise of those games is you're kind of managing a big machine that's gradually just making its way through this landscape. You're managing systems and whatnot, and it almost looks like you're kind of doing the same thing, but with a herd of creatures. So keep your eye on that one if you know of those games or anything like that. But any thoughts?
No, it looked good.
Yeah, it looked cute. All right, I'm gonna throw the next one to you too, Nick.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just make sure you're on your toes.
Well, you got better notes than me on this one,
sure.
On this showcase, but so Jeff Keighley brought out on stage a face and a name you probably haven't heard in a long time, but in the lead up, he mentioned the creator of Dungeon Keeper and Black and White and Fable, and if you're not familiar with him, this is a legendary game designer in the likes, I would say, of especially at the time when he was more prominent, of a Hideo Kojima, Ken Levine, and Neil Druckmann, kind of that level of.
Who's the Double Fine guy?
Tim Schafer.
Tim Schafer. Yeah, I always kind of view him like on that level.
Yeah, these are just names that are industry. That if you're in the industry like we do, like John and I are, you know these names, and I knew instantly that it was Peter Molyneux, and like I said, I probably haven't seen him 15 years.
Well, based on the games you just announced or that you said,
yeah,
Fable. This seems to be the last
yeah,
one.
Fable 3, yeah. So yeah, he was at Lionhead with Microsoft, and they unfortunately closed that studio when they forced Lionhead to try and make a free-to-play game. Shocker. Fable game. But yeah, he came out on stage. He was very humbled. He was saying he tried to make a mobile game and said, "What was I thinking?" Because I think he had some weird game where you had tapped on a cube 1 billion times. It was some kind of like social experiment. Forget what it was called.
Look it up.
But yeah, he was here to announce his next project, which is Masters of Albion, which if you've played Black and White.
What's Inside the Cube?
Yeah.
It was an experimental video game originally called Curiosity.
Yes, there. Yeah. Yeah, and like the person who finally opened the cube got like it was like you won the lottery kind of thing. Like it was weird.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, he's a guy that's always thinking outside the box. Like his games, Fable, is a very different weird franchise.
I need to pause you. This is just about that What's Inside the Cube game. The cube originally contained around 69 billion cubelets. As of April 2013, there was approximately 50 layers remaining, about 3.6 billion cubelets. Last layer removed on May 26th. That's 69. So that cube got tapped 69 billion times.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off. All right, sorry.
What was in the cube? Gotta finish the story.
Oh, I didn't.
Anyway,
what's in the cube?
He's looking that up. Yeah, Masters of Albion is a looks like to be like a 4X game where you're kind of a god hand and you're creating a village, you're protecting it at night. You can use god abilities. You can shoot lightning from your hand or fire from your hand to protect your village. You can be a benevolent god or a vengeful god to your own people. You can have them hurt each other and all that. And there's a lot of, again, kind of like a Civ game, but not as in depth as a Civ game. You're very simple town, very simple mechanics, but
looked to be very dense though. Like, sorry, I don't know if you were saying this while I was reading.
No,
but like I was impressed where they're like, yeah, you go in here and you can make anything you want.
And make a
like,
sandwich.
Yeah, you build this sandwich specifically how you want. And like it seems to be this very smart kind of game that I couldn't begin to wrap my head around on how it's made.
And very much like the Fable humor is in there too. He was you could make your own sword, and he put a loaf of bread on the end of the sword, and of course that does nothing. Like they showed two guys fighting with them, and it did nothing. So he changed it to a blade, and it killed the other guy. So
that stuff's impressive though. Do you remember Scribblenauts?
Yes.
I never played it, but
yes.
I remember when that game was shown off, I was like, what? You can just write a thing and it shows up? That's bananas. So I kind of get a similar vibe with whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah, wait, that takes me back, Scribblenauts. Yeah, what an amazing concept for a video game.
Yeah. To go back to the story, so according to the video 22 Cans, who developed this game, posted on YouTube the day that the experiment ended, the Cube awarded Henderson, who was the guy who won, with the role of God of Gods in the upcoming God game, Godus, and 1% of all revenue earned by Godus. Henderson's role would grant him the ability to reign over other players with the ability to intrinsically decide on the rules of the game that the game is played by. He declared the prize would last for 5 to 10 years, and I guess this guy ended up deciding he didn't want to do it. He never received his prize. But
yeah. There was no. I remember the ending of that story was not happy. So
strange cat, that Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, no. Again, a very interesting guy, and like if you hear him talk about video games, he's very high level and some interesting ideas. So it's great to see him back. It sounds like he's funding this game with his own money.
Yeah.
So I hope I wish him the best.
65. Go retire, Peter. Just go chill.
But not a game that I'm particularly interested in. But I think it was a great surprise to see a famed video game creator like him back.
Yeah.
So
cool.
It's a highlight.
All right, so couple quick ones here. It looks to be a Squid Game, specifically Squid Game Unleashed, that operates very much like Fall Guys, I'm sure. Next, we saw a trailer for Unknown 9 Awakening. Looked to be starring Anya Chaltra, who was in the Witcher TV series. She played Yennefer. Game we've seen it previously, but again, it's just another CG trailer with not a lot happening, so really hard to talk about. Next game, nominee for Worst Title Game Ever, Arena Breakout Infinite. Just 3 words that feel like do not, like, what does that mean? Arena Breakout Infinite. Shooty shoots.
Buzzwords.
Yeah, buzzwords, exactly. So I don't even want to talk about that one anymore. We next got to see some Blizzard reps come out on stage. Obviously, Blizzard's kind of got some shit flying.
They're about to pop off.
Yeah, they're about to put some stuff out. I mean, they got the World of Warcraft expansion, and then they also have the Diablo 4 expansion, Vessel of Hatred, coming out in October. But, showed off the classes, what, changes are being made to it. You beat Diablo 4. It's impressive because I flamed out. I tried. I'm sad at how into Diablo 2 and 3 I was and how that seems to be gone, but
Yeah, if you're interested in the game, I'd look at the updates because there's more than just a new region to explore. It sounds like there's a big co-op PvE dungeon you can explore now that has different levels. So Diablo is going to be around for a long time. So
yeah,
we're going to see more and more expansions.
It's incredibly high quality. It is very repetitive, like I used to be able to take, I think, and not so much anymore. All right, so it looks like we got another 6 games here, Nick, and then we're done. We got the first Berserker Kazan coming early 2025, another game we've seen before. Showed off a little bit of combat, obviously incredibly Souls inspired.
I think you said while we were watching Black Myth Wukong's out, so now here's the next.
Yeah, we
Souls
always
like to get excited.
There's always got to be one Souls like that people are like clamoring for, whether it's Liza P, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Black Myth Wukong. There's always one. So if From Software is not around, they'll be looking at this one. So, but it looked good. It looked pretty good. Unique art style. I don't know. It's all about how they play, as I've said before.
Yeah, it's based on the DNF world, which is a
DNF Duel.
Which is a fighting game franchise, which I'm not familiar with. So
yeah, no. I bet Kazan's in it. Next up, coming exclusively to PC, but day one on Xbox PC, Aura History Untold. Just another trailer. We've seen it before. It was at that Xbox Developer Direct back early in the year. Just focused on trying to make sure that everybody understands you can rule a land the way you want to rule. I think if you're into Civ, you're into this. If you're into this, you're into Civ.
Game,
Yep. Then we got a... I like the name Floatopia. I don't know why, but it's just another life management sim.
Cute trailer.
Yep, another cute trailer. It looks like you're up in like islands in the sky, and you kind of go around and manage your crops and visit your friends and do all that stuff. And I like like I said, I like the name Floatopia.
Yeah, the Animal Crossing's probably the closest comparison. Yep. It looked cool. You could like design your whole region like not just like buildings, but like terraforming it the way you want, and it kind of looked cool how they built like a custom little house and then had a waterfall, and then it showed it in the different seasons.
Yeah. It kind of made me mad because I was like, why can I never think of anything cool? Like if you put that game in front of me and go build a thing, I'll go, all right, there's a hill and a house, done. I can't. I'm so bad at being creative. Like it's just not my thing, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, and so we got 2 more announcements, Nick. We got the official end of the show, and then the one more thing.
Love one more thing.
Always love a one more thing. But we got to see a little more, although I would argue not as much as we were hoping to see, of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle coming December 9th to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the biggest announcement of the whole show, I would say, is that it is, yes, in fact, coming to PlayStation 5 in the spring of 2025. This is the first confirmed Xbox-owned team releasing a game that has not yet already been released, confirmed for PlayStation. So it is kind of a big piece of news. Obviously, it's going to ship.
Technically Doom. Doom the Dark Age.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, technically Doom the Dark Age. That's fair. But I guess that was announced for PS5 the same time it was also announced, right?
Yes.
I guess so. Yeah, a little different that we knew this game existed, but now they're coming back and retroactively saying that, yeah, we're going to work on it for PS5, which leads me to believe, I wonder how long they've been working on that port, if they knew back then or if they can spin that up pretty quickly. But I digress.
Yep.
Got a kind of a narrated trailer by Troy Baker, who's kind of talking about how iconic of a character Indiana is, which he is absolutely an iconic character.
Well, let's talk about the PS5 part.
Oh, sure.
Because like we mentioned, there's all kinds of different strategies going on here. It's hard to say. Since we last recorded, there's been rumors that Forza Horizon 5 is going to be announced this week.
Yeah.
Coming to PlayStation. And then Doom is a day and date on PlayStation, but now we have another game that I'm assuming is just going to be probably 6 months, right? May of next year, we'll see Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on PlayStation 5. What do you make of this? Again, there's no rhyme or reason or sense to it all. We don't know for other games like Starfield or Avowed, but this one is getting the going to PlayStation, but after a specific window. What are your thoughts on this?
I think this is a canary in the coal mine for how they will approach almost every single one of their games going forward. I do think it's that level of commitment to bringing their stuff everywhere. They've now seen unequivocally that they make a ton of money over here, right? Sea of Thieves is still selling in the top 10. Yep. So we know that we have that piece of information. I do believe that they're trying to do these in chunks, where it's like we got those 4 ports, and now it's like, okay, well, our next big game is indie. It's not out yet, but like let's just announce that it's coming to PlayStation, and then I think there's probably another pocket of games that are going to be another port chunk, right? Whether it's Forza Horizon, there's been buzz about Flight Sim. You have games like Ori. These games that exist in the past. So I think they're going to kind of chunk those together and kind of release them. Obviously you don't want to release them on top of each other. Release maybe a package of 4 once a year. Uh-huh. I don't know, something like that. And then I cannot see a reason. And I think I've had this stance forever since we kind of started to think that Xbox is migrating away from being a console guy and more of a world's biggest third-party publisher. I've kind of always thought that it doesn't make sense to pick and choose. The only thing I could see picking and choosing making sense for would be Halo and Gears. And even when I say it out loud, I go, but that doesn't even make sense. Those aren't what they were. And so if you're in the business of making
live service games with campaigns, and
if you're in the business of making money, which every single corporation on planet Earth is, why would you turn your nose down from that? Especially if you've given up on the console wars. I'm pretty sure that is a given.
When you're losing like they are.
When you're losing like that. And so, I think, they're just going to play the timed thing. If you have to play, if you're an Indiana Jones freak, right, and you have to play it, they can maybe capture a couple people that way, but I don't think that's what they're going for. And then, they'll just let the buzz build, release on PlayStation, and just keep that cadence going back and forth. Like, similarly to how PlayStation's really shifted their cadence to, okay, release the game, PlayStation first, year later, PC, and then we'll go from there. And that's kind of started to squeeze in where they find what the perfect distance is between those. I think Xbox is going to just try and do the same thing, but I can't rationalize a reason in my head to bring some forward and not others. Like, I would expect to see Avowed 6 months after that comes out. I would expect to see Hellblade in one of these chunks at some point. But they also are going to run out of chunks pretty quickly, right? So maybe you do space those out a little more, like onesie twosies. Sure. Because I would love to see the Ori games move over.
Yeah, and I mean development time is a thing, right? They need. Certain teams will be able to make that port faster.
And that's why I kind of want to know about the machine games. Like, when did you guys start working on the PS5 thing? Like, is this something you can spin up really quick, like in 6 to 8 months? Like, I genuinely don't know what that looks like. So,
but what do you? So, this was like kind of the first time too that it's like up front and center. Like, we saw in Xbox Showcase this summer, they show off Doom, but they don't say it's coming to PlayStation 5. They just say day one Game Pass, their usual spiel. But like like they made a point here, right? Like Keeley was like, oh, and they have
Games wants to.
Yeah, they have
It's
another.
Interesting. Machine Games wants to tell you. I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's I'm sure they don't. There's nothing to be read into there, but
Well, yeah, they probably just don't want to say Xbox
Right,
is doing it.
Microsoft.
They kind of made it the special announcement with the announcement of their release date finally for this game. Is there anything more to read into that, or they're just? I gotta get ahead on this one.
I think I mean, there's two schools of thought when you start to transition a business like this. You can rip the Band-Aid off and just reap the consequences and hope that your audience and fans don't turn on you too much, or you just kind of trickle it out little bit by little bit to ease the blow. And
Like, why wouldn't they wait till, let's say, January, right? January, Indiana Jones has come out. Everyone, we got that initial buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, decided to either buy it on the platforms we offered it on, and then we go, oh yeah, now it's finally we're telling you it's coming to PlayStation.
Well, I mean, when you think about what benefits Microsoft to do it that way, is you would want to capitalize more on the initial sales of the game, right?
Yeah, you want more people on Game Pass.
I mean, I think people aren't going to move their Game Pass subscriptions around that much for it either way, but I could see people where they're like, oh, okay, if we wait to announce it, that is coming to PlayStation in February or something, then you would capture those sales of the people who aren't Game Pass subscribers but just want to play the game. They're going to get it probably day one. If data looks really, really bad on their end where they're not selling games that much on the front end, maybe they just go, it doesn't really matter. And we can I don't know what they want from the PlayStation. Like, what does Microsoft want the PlayStation audience to feel about them? Do they want them? Do they want to just not be thought of? Do they want to just be looked at as good guys? Be like, here you go. We're throwing you bones. Because, there's all sorts of talk about that online too. Is like, why doesn't Sony play nice with Xbox when Xbox plays nice with Sony? Maybe they just want to feed that narrative. But I don't know. I don't know why you just kind of. My guess is just because Xbox has had such a rough PR year. They've had to be on their back heels for everything. And maybe they're just like, look, maybe it's just beneficial for us. Let's at least try it and get it out there. And then we don't have to fucking hear it.
Right.
The people that are on Game Pass are going to they're going to continue to give us money. Nobody is selling their Xbox because now Indiana Jones is on PlayStation. No, I didn't sell it for that reason, but for that specific reason, right? I don't think many people are doing that. So maybe they just read the leaves and was like, it doesn't hurt us.
And it is a licensed game, and as we've seen with a lot of these Disney licensed games, that they're announced way in advance, and they seem to behave very differently than other video games, internal, not licensed games that, we know every Marvel game coming right now. We know.
What's cool though? Blade's coming to PS5. That's for sure happening.
Yeah, that is actually really sweet. Man, I forgot about that game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is sweet. I'm excited for that game.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I think I sold my Xbox at the perfect time.
Yeah.
That shit, I bet tomorrow that shit's $300.
Yeah, lose a little bit of value, but yeah, but go ahead. You can continue talking about the game.
Yeah,
now.
So crazy on the
Troy
PS5
Baker.
standpoint, but Troy Baker just kind of talking, about how putting on the hat was a dream come true, and you always like to see passionate people talk about things they're passionate about. It always, you feel it, but you saw a little bit more gameplay, but what Nick and I were really hoping for was like just a 4-minute chunk or something where it's like, let me see what button throws the whip. What is like, am I fighting 5 guys in a room, or am I fighting like onesie twosies, and then like it's just kind of okay, now do a puzzle. And so I still don't have a great feel for what the game is.
So to be fair, Xbox is streaming the next 3 days over Gamescom, and this is one of the games. So okay. I there's no way they can bring that game and not show off a level, right?
Yeah, they'll definitely bring it. That's the case. So
but I agree. I think
it's still not a shoo-in.
No.
So I don't know, but they were saying the right things, and like, I'm sure, they're putting one over on me, but something about hearing Troy Baker reassure me is better than hearing X-Suit from Machine Games be like, no, it's everything you like from an Indiana Jones story. But like hearing Troy say it sounds like I believe him a little more.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the performance or the story. I'm just worried about like fighting Nazis,
Yeah.
How am I doing it?
But then I go, but Machine Games made Wolfenstein, and that's like the best fighting Nazi game ever.
Right,
so
right.
The things are lined up. But it's nice to know. Everybody should be able to play this. Maybe they'll even eventually bring it to Switch 2 whenever that becomes a thing. Don't know. They can't say anything about that yet, so obviously you can't. But yeah, so we'll get that at the end of the year to at least see the review scores and stuff, and then get it in our dirty little hands in early next spring.
Yep.
All right, and then one more thing, Nick. One more.
I loved
thing.
it. I swear I loved it. I almost stood up. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, as you started clapping, I'm like, well, I thought for sure you had like a list of like things that hadn't been talked about, and like I was like, no, but I know everything. Like it's not like he's been like, yeah, they're gonna bring Hades too. So we got a brand new game announcement of a existing franchise. Unfortunately, a franchise I haven't really dabbled in, so I can't speak to it personally.
Well, I will say again, talking about them putting the logos in front of the trailer. It started with 2K Games.
Yeah.
And so, again, as you've heard on this show, there's another franchise we were really hoping for.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be BioShock.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in 2K, going back to your, like, stop putting the things because then we know. It's like, you see 2K and it's like BioShock, Civ, Borderlands, Mafia. It's like there's not many options.
And we know we already saw Borderlands and Civ.
Yeah, so it's like so we kind of knew, but looks like they're taking a different spin on the series. So of course we're talking about Mafia, but Mafia: The Old Country definitely showed off some Italian countrysides and things like that. Anybody who's familiar with mob stories is that America's only half of what's going on, right? You got the people back in the motherland, excuse me, making all the calls, telling everybody who's gonna die or sleep with the fishes, and so cool to see. Anytime you take a series and really spice it or mix it up and kind of give a unique setting is always exciting. Mafia 3, from what I heard, was an incredible narrative experience, storytelling. This guy who came back from the war, black dude living in Louisiana, dealing with racism, all that stuff. Like really, really well done story, but I've heard the combat and the gameplay side of it very much lacking. So, maybe they can marry the two here together. But
it's funny. I remember that game also had what Star Wars Outlaws had, is like the different factions that you curried favor with, and
Sure.
you had like different endings and different results. Based on that.
Oh, I'm sure you'll see.
I never played the game.
Yeah. Did you play any of them? Mafia 1 or 2?
I believe I played the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't really messed with these, but
I will say I do not like, if you go before like 1970, I am pretty much noping out, especially from like 1900s period, right?
Yeah, 40s America is just not my jam either.
Exactly.
Tommy guns and fedoras and big old cars.
So that was my worry. We thought this kind of had an Assassin's Creed vibe.
That's why I was like, I don't know what this is. Like,
and the fact that it's set in 1900s Sicily is. Again, I'm a little noping out, but I will.
I give it a pass specifically because it's taking place in Italy. Like if it was 1900,
true, location is
like
great.
Because like Europe is such a history-rich place that 1800s America is a much different place than 1800s Europe. Depending on where you are, right? Like there's the horses and buggies and dirt roads and shit everywhere. Like, over there they have cathedrals and all sorts of stuff. So you can play around with it, but So they showed that off and that's a wrap. That's a wrap for Jeff Keighley's opening night live. So, what's your grade, Nick? I don't think you gave it a grade at the front of the show here for overall thoughts.
I gave it a B.
B?
I gave it a B.
So you're leaning a little bit more on the presentation side, the structure of it, not so much the mature take.
Yeah, yeah. Just the like I said at the start, the breadth of content. What we got to see some gameplay. We got to see some cinematic trailers. It touches all the things that you want from these kind of showcases. Out again, just wanted more catered to me, and the secret level announcement just like out of nowhere, just
it was cool,
fucking awesome. Like that's awesome. Something to look forward to this December.
Yeah,
but
I'd probably give it a C. I don't think it was a bad show. I'm not as mature as you are. I'm more petty, but no,
what did you want?
What did I want?
What
I want. I don't know. I want to see more
outside of
Hades.
like your perfect game announcement?
That's what I mean. That's what's gonna get me. Like I could flirt
That's
with.
fine.
I could flirt with a B here, but like if I'm going A, it's gotta have a couple things where I stand up and get really excited about it. But I don't know if I saw like a official date for Hades 2 or something. It's still a stretch, but I will say one thing I want to say is developers, name your games better. Like over this whole thing, I just like
There's a lot of games, John. It's hard. If you were to make a game right now, what are you going to name it?
I don't know. Something better than Arena Breakout Infinite or Delta Force Hawk Ops or Arc Raiders or No Room in Hell is okay. Or Linked Banner of the Spark. It's just, I don't know. Like the whole time during that, like I've kind of, it's a working theory of mine, and I won't go too deep into this, but like I really feel like you can dictate the success of a game based on the quality of the name. And I know that's very reductive, but if you have generic thing with generic subtitle, it just falls away. And you need to be able to get people to, I don't know, recall your game quickly and like or Anatria, the last song. Like that's nobody's gonna remember Anatria. It's a weird little thing. And so just call it the last song. It's not hard. So I don't know. I just want to a little free tip from your boy John to name your shit better because there's too many games out there. We've talked about that ad nauseum on this show. And but again, Jeff Keighley, thank you for giving us things to talk about on the show. Thank you for being the video game Jesus we need, because nobody else is doing it.
So what did you think? I put out a poll, the A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Where do you think it's fallen?
C.
No.
B?
A, 14%. B, 30%. D, 57%.
Everybody's always so mad. I get it. Whatever. I get it. You didn't have the things you were wanting. I get it. But don't worry because, and hopefully almost a month from today, we'll get a Sony showcase. Please. Please. Because that will be the one. That will be the one that has the things where I see a new Wolverine trailer, where I see what Naughty Dog's been working on, where I see Housemarque or Blue Point's logos pop up where I go, oh boy, here we go. Like this is the shit.
Yeah.
So
gosh.
Yeah, it's
if
just,
only.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Closing thoughts, Nick? Anything you wanna leave on the table?
No, I mean they all announced at the end of the show the Game Awards are back December 12th. Fantastic.
It's exciting too. Next week's podcast, we'll have all of Xbox's shit to talk about, right?
True.
Like
Gamescom is running all this week, so
I wonder if there's a world where if Xbox fucking brings it. I don't think they would. I don't think they can. It's like maybe record a quick little pickup. I don't know. I don't know if our audience is ready for that. Freddy's probably ready for it, but ready Freddy B.
No, we'll probably just bring if there are any highlights. Like I said, if there is an Indiana Jones like extended gameplay, I'd certainly want to talk about that.
Starring. Please give Ashley Johnson a role in that game. I don't care what it is, but that'd be great.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right.
But you got any other teases for yourself?
No, so I mean, I hopefully, obviously, Lost Crown is great. I'll have more thoughts for you guys
later. I'm excited for that.
Metroidvania, it's my jam, but it does a very good job of quality of life, like making it easy for the player to just go through it, because that's Metroidvania's number one hang up is like, I don't know where I am. What do I do next?
Hollow Knight.
Yep. So look forward to that. And yeah, I mean, my wife's taking all my kids to my in-laws tomorrow, so Daddy might call off work and play some games. I don't know. We'll see. But
it's John's gaming day off. It's a tradition.
They don't come around very much anymore. I used to be able to play around with it, so figure I got to take advantage. But no, I'll be playing that, and I'm still I'm approaching trial number 2 in Danganronpa. I haven't dropped that completely, but did set it aside for a quick sec just to play some Prince of Persia. So
nice.
Yeah.
A week from now, we will have Star Wars Outlaws reviews. The embargo is next Monday, so by the time we record, we will know.
Now, you asked me last week about Black Myth. What's your Metacritic? It's a tough one.
It's probably going to be in this annoying.
Yeah, it's going to be an 83.
It's going to be like
it's gonna be 82, 84.
80 to 85.
Because this is massive, right? Makers of the Division, and those ones are two of the higher reviewed Ubisoft games out there.
Yeah, and this game went gold quite a while ago, so they felt they were done. And everything we've seen, it looks great. All the hands-on impressions seem great, But yeah, well, Ubisoft's, they got a lot of their stink with their open world games. Hopefully this will.
I'm going through a little bit. It's only got Division only has a 79. IGN gave it a 6.7. I loved that game.
The first one?
Yeah.
I think the second one reviewed higher.
Yeah,
I think but it's in that low 80s.
Huh.
So
83.
So we'll see. Yeah, that's arguably Ubisoft's best studio, review wise lately. So we'll see.
But you gotta give me a score though. You can't get out that.
Oh,
easily.
I said is
Did you say?
I'm gonna
You have to give
I'm
me
gonna
one.
be a hopeful 84.
Hopeful 84. I think isn't that what Jedi Survivor got?
Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, can it become the number 1 rated Star Wars game?
But obviously looking forward to that.
84.
But yeah.
Okay.
So there'll be reviews, so we can definitely talk about that.
And then a week, then we got Astrobot.
Yeah. God, it's
Good stuff.
September is gonna be here soon. It's like God,
Yeah.
year goes by too fast.
Yep.
So yeah.
You know what?
Video games are out.
You know why Astrobot excites me, Nick? Because I know I won't let it get to my backlog. I know it's going to come out. I'm going to play it and beat it and platinum it, and then it's gone. I don't have to win. It doesn't. Then I can.
And you'll love it.
And I will love it. So.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for them to release The Last Robot, but I do want to go into Astro's Playroom and collect the 4 robots they added.
You mean Anatria, the last robot?
I don't know what it was. Is that a reference?
I'm referencing shitty named games where you just kind of. It was because it was Anatria, the last song. That's all right. It wasn't my best joke. Wasn't my best one.
All right. Cool. I mean, that's the show.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed Gamescom, and like I said, it really kind of just kicks off this fall. Like,
can I get a commitment from you, Nick? If Balatro, all of Balatro is in Dave the Diver, will you reinstall that and just start?
It's not all going to be in there.
Why not?
And the problem with Dave the Diver is it was a PlayStation Plus extra game. So
Oh,
I
you
lost
don't even have it
access
anymore.
to it. So
All right, whatever. I'm just gonna throw 15. I'm gonna throw 15 singles at you one day.
no
And make it rain.
But yeah, that's the show. As we mentioned at the start of the show, the song is Promise from Silent Hill 2 by Akira Yamaoka and Oka. And yeah, man, fall video games. Get excited.
Gamescom.
Yeah, more Gamescom. It's like I said, all week there should be news. People will be playing games on the floor, Xbox stream. So
On the floor, get them chairs. Oh, that's A+ joke right there.
and of course we'll be back next week with more jokes like that. That's why you guys listen. So
Bye, Freddie.
yes, if you're listening and you have thoughts on the show, write in and we will read them.
I
next
will
week,
literally
of course.
say your name 14 times during the episode.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Again, we love you. We will see you next week for episode 109. Bye, guys.
Later, Freddie.